Arson is a crime of willfully and maliciously setting fire to or charring property. Though the act typically involves buildings, the term arson can also refer to the intentional burning of other things, such as motor vehicles, watercraft, or forests. The crime is typically classified as a felony, with instances involving a greater degree of risk to human life or property carrying a stricter penalty. A common motive for arson is to commit insurance fraud. In such cases, a person destroys their own property by burning it and then lies about the cause in order to collect against their insurance policy. A person who commits arson is called an arsonist. Arsonists normally use an accelerant to ignite, propel and directionalize fires, and the detection and identification of ignitable liquid residues is an important part of fire investigations. Pyromania is an impulse control disorder characterized by the pathological setting of fires. Most acts of arson are not committed by pyromaniacs. The term derives from Low French arson, from Old French argent, from Late Latin arsionem, a burning, from the verb ardere, to burn. The Old English term was bayonet, lit, burning, and Edward Coke has indictment of burning. Arsonist is from 1864. Historically, the common law crime of arson had 4 elements. Many U.S. state legal systems and the legal systems of several other countries divide arson into degrees, depending sometimes on the value of the property but more commonly on its use and whether the crime was committed in the day or night. Many statutes vary the degree of the crime according to the criminal intent of the accused. Some U.S. states use other degrees of arson, such as 4th and 5th degree, while some states do not categorize arson by any degree. For example, in the state of Tennessee, arson is categorized as arson and aggravated arson. In the United States, the common law elements of arson are often varied in different jurisdictions. For example, the element of dwelling is no longer required in most states, and arson occurs by the burning of any real property without consent or with unlawful intent. Arson is prosecuted with attention to degree of severity in the alleged offense. First-degree arson generally occurs when people are harmed or killed in the course of the fire, while second-degree arson occurs when significant destruction of property occurs. While usually a felony, arson may also be prosecuted as a misdemeanor, criminal mischief, or destruction of property. Burglary also occurs. If the arson involved a breaking and entering, a person may be sentenced to death if arson occurred as a method of homicide, as was the case in California of Raymond Lee Oyler and in Texas of Cameron Todd Willingham. In New York, arson is charged in 5 degrees. Arson in the first degree is a Class A1 felony and requires the intent to burn the building with a person inside using an explosive incendiary device. It has a maximum sentence of 25 years to life. In California, a conviction for arson of property that is not one's own is a felony punishable by up to 3 years in state prison. Aggravated arson, which carries the most severe punishment for arson, is punishable by 10 years to life in state prison. Raymond Lee Oyler was ultimately convicted of murder and sentenced to death for a 2006 fire in Southern California that led to the deaths of 5 U.S. Forest Service firefighters. He was the first U.S. citizen to receive such a conviction and penalty for wildfire arson. Some states, such as California, prosecute the lesser offense of reckless burning when the fire is set recklessly as opposed to willfully and maliciously. The study of the causes is the subject of fire investigation. In English law, arson was a common law offense requires that if the destruction is by fire, the offense is charged as arson. S.4 of the Act provides a maximum penalty of life imprisonment for conviction under S.1 whether or not the offense is charged as arson. In Hong Kong, the common law offense was abolished by S.67 of the Crimes Ordinance 1971. Like the English counterparts, 63 of the 1972 Ordinance provides a maximum penalty of life imprisonment. And S60 of the Ordinance requires that if the damage is by fire the offence should be charged as arson. While Scotland has no offence known as arson statutorily defined in their legal system, There are many offenses that are used to charge those with acts that would normally constitute arson in other nations. Events constituting arson in English law might be dealt with as one or more of a variety of offenses such as willful fire-raising, culpable and reckless conduct, vandalism or other offenses depending on the circumstances of the event. The more serious offenses can incur a sentence of life imprisonment.